when I was asked to share my story with you all, I have to honestly say that I was a bit stuck because I didn't really think that I had an inspirational story. I kind of did the traditional route, went to college, went to law school, became an attorney, became a part-time judge, became a judge, got asked to do women's court, and started it. And so I realized, come on, you got to be more interesting than that. So I did a deeper dive, and when I did a deeper dive, I started thinking about all of the people throughout my life that have either inspired me, supported me. Oh God, I'm going to cry. I'm a crier too. Or supported me, or just guided me along my way. And as I was thinking about all these people, because there's so many, I realized what was inspirational is that all of these people were regular people like all of us here. And that regular people can be the reason why others succeed. And so I wanted to share with you about some of these people. God, I have to stop crying. So I wanted to share with you about some of these, I thought, regular people. So back when I started in the 5th grade, I started dancing hula with Alau, and that was Auntie Mapu and Uncle Kihei de Silva. So if any of you are in the hula world, Halau Mahale Ilima is well known now, but 45 some odd years ago when I first started dancing hula, Auntie Mapu and Uncle Kihei were starting this halau in Auntie Mapu's mom's back patio. Just a handful of us keiki girls. And they were, to me, just regular people, and they shared their passion with me on hula, culture, language, Hawaiian language, and that inspiration has carried throughout my life. And so those regular people really inspired me. And at that time, one of the things that it inspired me to do was to apply to Kamehameha schools. So I'll talk about Kamehameha in just a second. But the other great thing about being part of Halau Mahale Lima was I got all of these hula sisters and hula aunties. So that was the first time that I got a taste of the sisterhood. Because these women, girls and women, always were there to help and support and to be my cheering squad. And we need them. We all do. So that was my beginning, first kind of impactful people that I wanted to share. Now, when I went to Kamehameha schools, Kamehameha just opened so many doors and opportunities for me, and for everyone else, I think, that goes there. But one of the things, personally, for me that it opened up was the opportunity to play volleyball. Okay, now I know that sounds weird, but growing up, here's my second person, my next door neighbor was Mahina Eleneki. So if you're a volleyball, if you know UH volleyball, Mahina Eleneki is later on quite well known, kind of hometown hero on our UH Wahine team. But back in the day when I knew Mahina, she was my next door neighbor. She was that teen kid that was super cool because she could bounce on a pogo stick. She taught me how to play volleyball. And then later on, she was like on the homecoming court for St. Louis and Damien. And she drove a bug, this cool bug. And so I wanted to be Mahina. And so when I attended Kamehameha, I was able to join Kamehameha Volleyball Club, KVC, which was a club that she played for because they practiced at Kamehameha. So my parents were like, well, I guess you're there. I guess you got to go. And so through volleyball, with practice and everything, I got decent enough to play for school. And I played in, middle school, high school. But what was great about volleyball was I was able to expand that sisterhood. I got all of these volleyball teammates that, again, supported me. And, as we're just hearing, middle school, high school, it can be rough. There's mean girls. So having that added group of sisters to support me, when you're doing like crazy things like, okay, I want to go run for student council. Scary. But then you have all your sisterhood there going, yeah, vote for her, so it's great. And so I needed those people. So that was my, Mahina opened another door for my sisterhood. And then when I was about to graduate, near senior year, that's when I realized, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. And Kamehameha fortunately opened so many doors that I could actually go to college. And so my dad didn't go to college. My mom went to Windward, but they weren't quite informed on, mainline colleges or four-year universities. So I had to figure out, where am I going to go? What am I going to do? So that's where the Apo family comes in. So if any of you out there attended Kamehameha schools around my time, the Apos were a fixture. Mr. and Mrs. Apo taught math. I think everybody who went to high school, they taught you math. Okay, and Mrs. Apo was also a dorm advisor. So because of that, their whole family lived on campus. And so one of my best friends in middle school and high school was Allison Apo. And Allison had an older brother, Todd. So Todd became my next idol. When I was a freshman, Todd was a senior. He was valedictorian of his class, president of ASKS, captain of the basketball team, played on the football team, arguably kind of cute. But he was like, I'm like, if whatever Todd's doing, he's probably gonna make it. So when I was a senior and I was trying to figure this out, I said, okay, where's Todd at? And I said, oh, okay, he's at Brown. And I said, okay, what's Brown? So I had to look up Brown, because again, we got to go. 30 years ago, we had, no internet. We learned about colleges through pamphlets, okay? So I heard about Brown, and I said, okay, what's Brown? And then I found out, it's an Ivy League school. What's this Ivy League? And I said, okay, I guess I got to go to an Ivy League school too. But I couldn't be like a stalker. I couldn't go to Brown, so I applied to Penn, okay, University of Pennsylvania. I said, okay, I'm going to go try this Pennsylvania. And, fortunately I got in. And then I went to Penn. Worst decision, I thought, the moment I got there, because I have to admit, I'd gone to California, I think once for a volleyball tournament and once for Disneyland. My grandparents had taken us. No idea what Philadelphia was like, let alone the East Coast. Okay, so I get there, first day of orientation, they hand out rape whistles to all the girls. I'm like, rape whistles? Okay. And then the next thing I know, they're talking about shootings and muggings. And I'm like, that's it, I'm out. This place is scary. There are crazy people here. I'm out. And my mom told me, no, your plane ticket's not till December. You're staying. And I'm like, I don't know about that. And she said, so find something to do. You have too much time on your hands. So I said, okay. So I walked over to the gym and I met Joe Segula, my next person. And Joe was a volleyball coach. And I said, hey, is there any way I can manage your team? And he's like, and he kindly said yes. And then through managing, within about a month, he had me on the team. And so I was able to play for all 4 years. So that just kindness, but think about Joe, now I'm gonna cry. But besides the kindness, what it did was, again, it gave me the opportunity to enlarge my sisterhood. So these women, these volleyball players, are the reason why I stayed at Penn. They taught me about, getting how to get a winter jacket. That just because it looks sunny outside doesn't mean it is warm. And they would take me to their homes for Thanksgiving, taught me about, because gosh, it was a huge culture shock, taught me about so many things. And through them, I stayed, So I stayed. And then we got to the point where, I gotta check my time. Got to the point where I was becoming a senior again. And I'm like, okay, now what am I gonna do? So I did the what would Todd Apo do? So I called up Allison. I'm like, hey, what's your brother doing? And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, what's he doing now? She's like, he's in law school at UH. And I said, oh, okay. Guess I should apply to law school. So I applied to law school because I said, if Todd's doing it, it's gotta work. So I went to law school. But now this time around, I realized, okay, you kind of wait till the end to figure out your life. Okay, so we're in the first year of law school, and I'm like, okay, I got to figure this out. And fortunately, in law school at UH, there's something called the Ete Bowl. And so the Ete Bowl is a flag football game between the current women students, they play against the alumni, women, okay? Flag football, women. The alumni are the bruisers, and so it's the etes versus the bruisers, okay? And it's the ete bowl, okay? Sounds harmless? Not, okay? It is the most dangerous flag football game you will ever see, okay? There are broken fingers, broken knees, bruises. Justice McKenna ran into my elbow with her nose and broke her nose. She ran into my elbow, okay? It's dangerous, dangerous. But the premise behind the game was because the women alumni realized that there weren't a lot of women attorneys, and so they wanted to have a networking for the women in law school to get to know each other and to also get to know the alumni. And so through that ete bowl, I had met one of the bruisers, Marilyn Moniz Kaho'ohanohano. And Marilyn was an athletic director at UH. And I said, oh, that's a cool job. You know, maybe I don't have to actually be an attorney. I can go be an athlete. I can go watch games. They must pay you to watch games, right? And I can go help students. And I think, okay, great. So I asked her, Marilyn, would you mind sitting down with me and telling me how you got to where you got and what do you do? And so, of course, she, kindly said, of course, come sit down. So she set up an interview with me, or a talk session. And so I found out that she had been a deputy prosecuting attorney, worked for Parks and Rec, and then became an athletic director. So I said, okay, I can do that. So again, and so I said, okay, I'm going to apply to the prosecutor's office. So I did a summer externship there, and that's where I found my passion. I didn't have to copy anybody else. I found what I liked. I realized how much I liked being in the courtroom, talking to people, helping people. And so that's where I found my place. And so so what I think is so incredible is that a hula teacher, a next door neighbor, an older brother, a coach, and a bruiser, and the silent yet probably strongest support, the sisterhood, is how I got here today. And that's why I think it's important that it's everyday people, like all of us here, that can inspire and help someone get to their greatness. So thank you.